it, everyone. It's Jade from Blue Betty. We thought we'd bring you a little interview session. We're all playing around with all Zoom, etc. So bear with us. But it's all around freediving. We wanted to start freediving and start this discussion for a while now. And funny enough, we had Liz Louw comments on one of our Blue Betty community groups, and we thought perfect timing. Let's start this discussion, and we've just had an influx of questions around freediving. So we're going to hear from Liz. Liz literally is a freedive instructor, fell in love with the ocean. Her love from the ocean comes from her parents, who also are into freediving and spearfishing and you name it. So here's Liz.
Great. Hi.
Okay, so the first question that we had for Liz, and we posted it obviously onto our different community groups, was, okay, if you could just give us pretty much what does the word freedive mean? Like a short synopsis.
Okay, hi there. Okay, so freediving is diving, like essentially in the global idea of it, it's diving underwater without any equipment. So when most people talk about diving, they talk about scuba diving. So you heavily loaded with like a tank and a regulator, and you go down and you've got this whole breathing apparatus. Whereas freediving is focused on something called apnea, which is the state of holding one's breath. So we're about going down with minimal equipment. I mean, you can start freediving pretty much with no equipment. That's like the most basic form of freediving. But essentially what we wear is a mask and a snorkel and flippers and a wetsuit, or fins and a wetsuit. And you go down there, but you're not relying on a tank or anything to enjoy yourself down there. You're relying on yourself and your ability to hold your breath. So that's what freediving is.
So I think my first question is, I wanted to start freediving. I surf, I spend my life in the ocean, but I'm petrified of sharks. And I think that's the first thought that comes into people's minds is, okay, we're going to go freediving. I'm going to jump off a boat. What about the sharks? So what about the sharks? I mean, any things we should know before even, going ahead any further?
Yeah. Well, I thought it was super funny, the list of questions that you sent me. Out of the first 3 questions, 2 are about sharks. So sharks are real. Sharks are in the water. There are incidences where people have been attacked by sharks. If you look at the stats, the number of people that have been attacked by sharks versus the number of people that have, had accidents in the terms of doing irresponsible breath holding, if you can call it that. So being underwater where they've pushed themselves too far and blacked out underwater because they haven't been following proper freediving practice. If you look at the stats, that is a far greater risk. Like shark-wise, we've watched so many movies about, if you watch The Shallows or Jaws or, the Deep Blue, like it's easy to like hyper sensationalize sharks. The risk that you're going to be in a car accident is way, way higher. Like, so if you want to be scared about sharks in the ocean, you should probably be scared about getting in your car and driving, especially in South Africa.
Yeah.
So, sharks are there, but they don't generally want to attack people. They're curious. Sometimes there's an accident. It's not often. It's really not often. There's so many more amazing experiences that people have interacting with sharks than anything going wrong, really. And it's when you're in the blue, it is a risk that you should be aware of, but it's not a big risk. And there are so many more benefits. And as well, freediving wise, when you start freediving, we don't take you straight up into the ocean. First of all, we first get you into a pool and we get you comfortable with all these other aspects of freediving. Like the ocean is a big, exciting, beautiful aspect of freediving, but there's so much more to it actually. So to get started with freediving, you're first going to be on land, you're first going to be in the pool, you're first going to get used to it all, and then if and when you feel ready to go in the ocean, then you can. And also if you're on your being on I find being on my surfboard, like I surf as well, and that's a greater risk shark-wise than freediving, to be honest, because you're on the top. You can edit that out. Sorry, but
so true.
But yeah, it's actually less risk, to be honest.
Yeah. And thanks for that. I think, just being out there, we understand the risks that, it's just one of those things, and you just got to enjoy the beauty with its risk.
Yeah. Like I find if you can surf in the ocean and you're comfortable with that, then there's no difference in risk, really.
Yeah. Okay, so I think you started also on some of the other questions I was going to ask is, so you want to get started, which is great. So you want to get started. How do I start? What is the first port of call to go to get started, to start freediving?
Okay, so there's two ways about going about it. And if you listed the, should you do this, should you do that? The one is to go directly to an instructor and do, and go through them and do the course, which is great. You can also do a little bit of homework before the time. So just, looking online, seeing what there is, even approaching your instructor and asking them if they've got material that you can go over beforehand. With most of the courses, they've got work that you do before the course, like theory work and practical work that you can do in your own time, so that you can focus your time in the course more on your actual, ability to like put those skills and the theory into practice. But yeah, there's a component of, the physics of freediving, what pressure does, the effect of pressure on yourself and how your body reacts. There's a lot of theory that you can go over. And I think it also depends on person to person, like your personality type. Some people like to know a lot more before they go and try, and others will go in and do the practical side and become a little bit more interested in the theory side afterwards. So both ways are good. I'd say the one way that you definitely shouldn't go is to Google a couple of things, think you know it all, and then go try yourself, because that's when accidents can happen.
Okay. All right. So guys, do some research first, contact an instructor. I think the next question that we've had is, how fit, or do you need to be fit to start freediving? So what level is this, or can anyone just start?
Yeah, so freediving is essentially about being able to perform better, the better you can relax. So most of the work we do in the beginning is learning to breathe, doing some stretches, it's very, very light on the cardio. You're nice deep breaths. So to start, again, like it's so we can put it in a two-sided thing. You don't need to be fit at all to start. It can inspire you to want to get fit, because to start, it's learning things that there's so much improvement you can do just by understanding and getting mentally more practiced. But then if you want to, say, dive deeper or dive for longer, being fit is definitely going to help you. It helps you, swim like more effectively, be able to stay down there for longer, and as well, say if you in a situation where you may have stretched your limit a bit, if you're fitter, you'd be able to deal with it better. So it's definitely good to be fit, but it's not a limiting factor to get started. And I find often it's, people wanting to come do a course with me, they want to get fit first, and they want to do a course, and then they're inspired to get fit so that they can do the course, and then they take it from there. So sometimes you'd want, people can be inspired to get fit before the time, or once they've done the course to get fit so they can dive better and enjoy the experience more. But it's not a strict prerequisite to get started.
Yeah, just be able to swim.
Yeah, you should be able to swim. Funnily enough, with fins on your feet, it's a lot easier. So yeah, if you'd be able to, if you've got nice strong legs, you do pretty well. But yeah, swimming definitely helps.
I think one of the questions I didn't add to that is, you talked about fins. Do you need to have equipment to start, or can you rent equipment, or how does that factor into obviously starting freediving?
So to start a freediving course, generally the equipment you'd need would be a wetsuit, a mask, a snorkel, flippers. and then a weight belt. But when we're doing work in the pool, you don't necessarily need a weight belt, or we have one and we practice the skills, and you can share it around. So some people like to go out and buy all the gear before they do the course. A lot of people, borrow gear from here or there, or you can rent gear as well. Most of us as instructors have got, backup kit for whoever wants to use it. So yeah, it's up to you. I mean, most of the courses that it depends really. Like if it's because we do courses sometimes or often for spear fishermen, and they've obviously got all their kits. And then I do a lot of courses for like surf schools who the ladies want to learn to hold their breath better to be able to cope with bigger swell, and that would be more like a sort of dinky kit, like like a not a specialized mask and not a specialized snorkel. But to start, you don't need top specialized equipment, and yeah, you can rent and
Awesome.
yeah.
All right, so pretty affordable, I think, from that point of view, from an equipment point of view, if you can beg, borrow, and steal. Before not like a lot of things out there where you need to buy the equipment first.
Yeah.
Weighing up, what are the risks versus the benefits? You could just give us a little, balance, because a lot of people, I think, look at the negatives first, like they're really amped, but they look at, will I die out there, versus the benefits. I mean, obviously, I know you have to always go with 2 people, but
yeah, never die alone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, what do you want first, the risks or the benefits?
Let's talk risks, and then we'll go to the positives.
Okay. Okay. So, risk-wise, the biggest risk in free diving is called a shallow water blackout. That's when you've held your breath past your capacity, and your capacity changes on days. If you're very stressed, your limit is going to be a lot less, like your breath holding limit, because the stress will basically eat up all the oxygen that you're supposed to be using to do your dive or your breath hold attempt. So the biggest risk is holding your breath past the point that you can that is safe, that you're capable of, and that is on that specific day. So maybe one day you've got a breath hold of 2 minutes. Maybe if you stress the next day, your breath hold's only going to be like 1 minute 15. So it's being aware of that. Concurrently to being able to free dive and learning how to free dive properly, it teaches you to be aware of what your limits are. So some people will go in without knowing much, and they'll push themselves past the point and then get to that point where they do the shallow water blackout. Whereas if you've done the course and you're conscious about it, then you're going to be more informed in your choices of how long to go down. And if you've gone past a certain level of discomfort, then knowing that you should go up. So you're definitely more informed on the pro side of free diving, whereas on the risk side, there is the risk of doing shallow water blackout. And like you said, to never dive without a buddy, that's exactly that key point. So a shallow water blackout is you basically pass out underwater, and then you can open your mouth and start breathing in water, and that causes a drowning. If you're diving with a good buddy and you get to that point where you've gotten into a shallow water blackout, I mean, you shouldn't. Yeah. But if you get to that point and your buddy is there and they're keeping an eye on you, a shallow water blackout is actually an incredibly simple thing to get out of if you've got somebody there to respond. So it's an incredibly simple rescue procedure, and it'll get you just getting your buddy up onto the surface and getting them to breathe again can make a small thing out of a potentially big risk. So that's the big component, and that's one of the main things that I think us as freediving instructors want to bring across in our courses, is teaching as many people as possible literally how to save a life in the most basic way, because there have been a lot of tragedies where if people just known better, then it would have been completely avoided. So that's the biggest risk. The other one we've covered is the marine life, and not just sharks. You get certain poisonous fish in the ocean, and you've got rip currents and tides and things. So it's just being you are putting yourself at risk when you go out into nature.
Yeah.
And this,
Really.
yeah. And then the benefit of that is if you do surf, then you probably understand a little bit better about currents and riptides and swell. So you'll probably not get yourself into scenarios like that. Risk wise, other than that, there are a couple of medical risks that you can that you can subject yourself to, but that's more for like deeper, like freediving, competitive freediving, where you go down to like serious depths of like 50 meters plus. Then there's certain things that you need to be aware of, but to start, that's not a factor.
Okay.
So
let's look at the positives. What are the benefits?
Okay, so the positives of freediving. To the first and foremost, it's learning to breathe properly. So we go through life without breathing to our full capacity, and and it's opening the shoulders, opening the chest, breathing from the abdomen, all these things. So if you can challenge yourself to take 10 proper breaths in the morning and then see how your day goes from there when you've actually stocked up. It's the same as like having a good breakfast, or if you think of your body as a vehicle, it's like topping up with fuel before you go on a long journey. If you're just putting in 10 milliliters at a time and then expecting your car to drive smoothly, we don't expect that of our cars, but we expect that from our bodies. So learning to breathe properly, to get enough oxygen in, but then also learning what we are capable with our breath hold of, how far you can actually hold your breath, because most people, we're at the point where they give up on their breath hold. They're only a fraction of what their true breath hold is. And that's just something that comes from learning from others, learning from your own practice, where your limits truly lie. So that's part of the positives as well, is you can actually learn what you're capable of. And then also, just with the allure of freediving, all the freediving things that you see on social media, is the benefits are then you can safely and consciously go and explore a beautiful, beautiful world that you might have never seen before. And you can go and snorkel. Like most people have gone and tried snorkeling, where you put on a mask and a snorkel and go into a tidal pool or a reef. But when you start doing it more consciously, you can go to like deeper depths, and then you start getting amazing experiences with ocean life, with marine life. You've got dolphins swimming around you, or following a turtle, or doing all these things that you wouldn't normally have done if you hadn't explored those dimensions of the ocean and of your own abilities. So those are the big positives. And then also freediving has just on the health benefits side, there's been a lot of research now recently into the mental benefits and the physical benefits. There's conditions like chronic fatigue syndrome, anxiety, stress, depression, and even certain forms of arthritis that they've found that freediving has helped people to recover from. So medically it's actually getting quite exciting at the moment, as to what can be achieved through freediving practice. So
Sure. Well, it's very exciting, because I think during this time there's a lot of us that are feeling a bit fatigued and stressed, and trying to find coping mechanisms. And I think just maybe learning just to start doing those 10 breaths in the morning is a good start. Yeah, and just to end off, we've got a couple of minutes. What would be the first thing, I think, for people now sitting at home? We can't obviously go into the ocean. We're all waiting in anticipation to see when we can go into the ocean. To get started, are there resources available, or you're saying don't just Google? Maybe we can find, or even present through Blue Betty, some ideas to get started. So the ladies at home, I don't know if you're supposed to like submerge yourself in the bath or sit on your bed. One or two things started while we're at home.
Okay, so that's quite a cool question, because what I've been working on before the lockdown is actually creating this material. Like I shared the first one on Blue Betty's, working on material that you can do from home to get you excited and encouraged and confident about actually going and taking on freediving. So what I can do is share that with you guys. I've got the introductory material is on 3 aspects of freediving, and it's your breath, obviously, that we've covered, and then your body, like learning how to use your body, and that's training that you can do from inside your confines of 4 walls, which we all find ourselves in at the moment. And then the third aspect is your mind and the mental training that you can do. So all of that you can do from home. So I've created that. So if you'd like to share it on the Blue Betties, then we can definitely do that, and people can give it a try and see how they, where their actual, capacity lies. I think it's pretty cool to be able to share that with the group, that everybody gets encouraged. And there's a lot of training that you can do at home, on land. I wouldn't recommend doing it in the bath because it is actually quite risky. There's a lot of incidents that happen with people breath holding in the bath because you think you're safe, but water always demands respect. So there's a lot of land-based stuff that you can do, and I've created this material to share with specifically ladies, because I found with everybody who asks me about freediving, often the ladies want to, but they're not confident enough in themselves to just jump on a course and do it. So this is literally material that helps you realize what you can actually do and gets you confidence enough. And then ironically, usually the ladies are better freediving students than the men, the ones that go on the course. And we're more responsible. We're men like to go out and be gung-ho and take risks, and we are more responsible, which actually makes a better freediver. So it's our caution that makes us wary to start, but it's also our caution that makes us good. So
I can tell my husband there are benefits to being a very cautious woman sometimes.
Yeah, no, there's it's definitely a beautiful balancing act there. But what I can do is I can share that material with you, and then you can distribute it to the Blue Betties, and then everybody, while they're locked up for the next while, can practice their abilities, which are going to help them not only with freediving but with other aspects in their lives.
Well, Liz, thank you so much for your time and for trying to dissect some of those questions for us.
Cool.
I'm going to, Betty will be watching this, so I'm going to stop the recording soon.
Okay.
Thanks to the Bettys for watching. I will be chatting a bit more to Liz, and I've got a couple of other freedivers to give us some other points on other things. Looking at potential adventures and spots around the world as well that we can look at when we start getting into this. But thanks, Liz. Shout for your time and for being
thank you.